Good morning, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel.
In this video, I'm going to be doing a cute makeup look for PCOS Awareness Month. So starting off, I'm just adding some Clear and Cover Blemish concealer onto some of my dark areas, and then I'm going to take a makeup wedge and lightly blend it out. You want to add this not onto every dark spot, but the ones that you feel will show through your makeup. As of lately, I've been mixing my foundation and my setting spray together. I find that mixing them together before applying the foundation helps everything come out nice and smooth. And I know it may seem like I have on a lot, but a little do go a long way. I just added a little bit of dots and then spread it around. And now I'm just blending everything out, and you can do one side at a time. It just depends on how fast your foundation dries down, and that's without the setting spray. But for me, I've been working with these two combinations for a while, so I know how they work together. And I'm just blending everything out and making sure that I get the coverage that I want. And then if I need more, I will go in with more. But for the most part, I didn't really have to go in with that much more. Just a real tiny bit, because it gave me the coverage that I really wanted and needed. And as I continue to blend, I am going to add a little more setting spray just to make sure that everything is being set into place. Now I'm just going to go in with my concealer to highlight underneath my eyes, as well as my forehead, my chin, and down the center of my nose. And this concealer is way too light. You always want to go with a concealer that's 1 or 2 shades lighter than your foundation. But if you don't add a lot, you can get away with using it. So now I'm just blending out the concealer, and I'm using my foundation brush just to blend it out. But then I feel like it's a little too big, so I am going to switch to a makeup wedge. And you can also use a sponge. It just depends on what tools you want to use. I just used what was right in front of me, so I didn't have to really look for anything. and the makeup wedge works just like a sponge anyway, so it worked out great. And I kind of put a little too much concealer onto my forehead, so it kind of took a little lot longer to blend out, but at the end everything did turn out just fine. Using that same makeup wedge, I'm just going to continue to blend out the concealer underneath my eyes. And I'm also going to add a little bit of that concealer onto my eyelid. And I'm just doing this way so I can prep my eyelid for me to apply the eyeshadow. And you want to continue to blend until everything is evenly blended out. And you want to make sure that you also got the coverage that you want. But for that, I am going to go in again with another concealer because I feel like this one is a little too light. Taking my foundation brush, whatever is left over from on the brush, I'm just going to blend out the edges of that concealer, and I'm just looking to see if I like the way that this concealer look. But again, I did go in with another concealer because this one I feel like is a little too light for me. With this concealer, I'm only going to use this underneath my eyes as well as the center of my nose. I'm not going to add it to my chin or my forehead because I feel like those areas have enough. And this is a shade darker than the other shade that I used. And now I'm going to add on some bronzer, and everywhere that I'm adding the bronzer is where you would normally contour. And I'm just adding a little bit in some of those places. I probably should have blended out my concealer before adding the bronzer to my cheek area, but everything came together perfect. Now I'm just going to take that same makeup wedge to blend out the concealer, and I just took the top point of the makeup wedge and blended out the center of my nose with dabby motions. And under my eye, I didn't use that much, so I didn't have that much to kind of really spread around. But as you can see, this concealer mixed with the other one blended out so good, and it gave me the right amount of coverage that I needed. It's not too light, and it's not like the same color as my foundation, which I absolutely loved. So I will be mixing these two together from here on out. Now I'm just taking some setting powder, and I love using it with a brush because it gets into those creases very well. And this is a hydrating setting powder. This is the one from Becca, and I love using this before going in with the Mercier because I feel it gives me a nice smooth finish, as well as it highlights it but not too much, and the Mercier just, you know, really set everything into place. And now I'm just going to take the makeup wedge and go in again with the Becca setting powder before going in with the Mercier. And this again is just to make sure that everything is nicely set into place. And I went over my eyelids as well to set that concealer, because you do not want your makeup to be creasing or moving throughout the day. Yes, makeup does not last 100% all day. You will get oily. but you just want to set everything into place. And I almost forgot to finish blending out my brows. I normally would do this part right after I do probably like my foundation or concealer, and that's why I caught myself before going in with any type of setting powder. Now I'm just checking that bronzer just to make sure that everything is nicely blended into place, and taking my Laura Mercier powder underneath my eyes just to catch any fallout that I may get from the eyeshadows. You want to make sure that you do this if you choose to do your foundation first, because if not, all your work will be wasted if any type of fallout from your eyeshadow fall onto your face. Now right here, I'm just adding the setting powder into areas that I added concealer, because you don't want to not set your concealer into place, because your makeup will start shifting throughout the day if not. Now I'm just adding some setting powder underneath my contour, and this is called the reverse contour. This is to give you a more snatched look, and I'm not going to let this powder sit right here for too long because I don't want it to be too light to look like I added concealer right there. But you can leave it to set even longer if you choose to. That's just, I choose not to. And again, this gives you that more snatched and contour look. And you can also do this step if you choose not to use any bronzer or contour at all. And now I'm just going to dust away that powder so that I don't leave it just sitting there for a long time. Due to me having dry skin, I don't like to bake for a long period of time. Now for the eyes, I'm going in with a reddish pinkish color for my transition color. Every color that I will be using today is going to be matching with my outfit as well as my backdrop. I didn't notice that until just now. But I'm making sure that I blend out 100% and that I like the placement before moving on to the other eye, as well as moving on to any other colors. Everything that I use will be listed down below in the description box. So please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with a friend. And also don't forget to turn on those post notification bells so you don't miss whenever I post another video. So for my second color, I'm going in the outer V with this brown shade, and I'm going to blend this out as well as blend it up into the transition color. But I'm going to continue to blend to make sure that I get the coverage that I want, as well as switch back and forth between the brushes just to make sure that those two colors blend together and not just slapped into place. And I'm going to repeat the same steps on this opposite eye. I'm just going to place that brown shade where I want it to be, and then blend it out and blend it up into that transition color and continue to blend. And then I'm going to switch back and forth between the two brushes or colors just to make sure that everything is nicely blended together. And before going in with my glitter, I decided to mix a teal shade and a light blue together, and it gave me the right color that I wanted. As you can see, the little teal that's on my dress, it kind of gave me that shade. which was pretty, but I also wanted to add glitter. And I wasn't going to add glitter to the whole lid at first, but then the color, the more and more I added it together, I was like, no, glitter would make this whole thing really pop. So I'm just mixing these two colors together to get the color that I want. Now I'm going to blend those colors together to make sure everything is nice and seamless. Now for me, I didn't have to blend them together considering I am going in with a glitter on top. And I'm just adding a little bit more of those colors just so that everything will show. And at first I didn't 100% know like how far I was going to do the glitter, and then as I'm going, everything started to come to me. I don't pre-plan like none of my looks, they just come to me as I go. Now I'm just repeating those same steps on the opposite side, just mixing that teal and that light blue color together to get the shade that I'm looking for. Then I'm going to blend everything out to make sure it's nice and even. Add a little more if needed, and then I'm going to move on to the glitter. Now I'm just adding some glitter glue, and this glue dries down pretty quick, so you kind of want to move a little fast with it, as I try to move fast, but also making sure that that whole eyelid area is nicely covered. Now I'm just packing on some teal glitter, and with this glitter, it came out so pretty. You can use whatever amount you choose. I just did whatever amount came on the brush. That's what I went with. I didn't, you know, try to tap off excess or none of that. And you can add more glue when needed, because like I said, it do dry down pretty fast, and that's what I'm doing now. I had to add a little more glue before I can go in and add the rest of my glitter. And repeating the same steps on this side, I'm adding on the glue, moving kind of fast so that the glue won't dry down on me before going in and adding on any glitter. Now I'm just taking that same brush that I used for that brown, and I'm just blending everything out even more just to make sure I don't have any harsh lines. Now I'm just contouring my nose a little bit. I didn't really have to do this because it already kind of had that reverse contour. But I just wanted to make sure that I added it a little on there, and I found using my finger looked more natural to me versus using a brush. And I'm just going to dust away that excess powder just to make sure that everything is nice and even. And I'm also going to kind of go in and fix my contour a little bit more. I just wanted to dust away any of that extra powder and fallout. I'm going to do my eyeliner off camera, and now I'm just going in with some mascara. Now for the highlight, I am going to add just a little bit under my brow bone and also down the center of my nose and my cheek area, and also on my Cupid's bow. Now before adding the rest of my highlight, I am going to set everything into place. Let that dry down a little bit, not too much, and then I'm going to add the highlight in the normal areas that I just stated earlier. I find it pops more when it's a little bit wet. You don't have to do it this way. Do what works for you. Now I'm just taking that same brush that I used for when I contoured and blending that out so that I don't have any harsh lines and looking like I just slapped some highlight right there and left it. So I ended up having to cut out me added on my lip liner and lipstick because my head was tilted down the whole time, so I ended up cutting that part out. But now I'm just unwrapping my hair. And this is the finished look. Hope you all like. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This month is PCOS awareness month, so I wear teal for me and you. And again, hope y'all enjoyed this video just as well as I did making it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.